Hello and welcome to Quiz Class. I'm your host, Ellen, and today we have 100 trivia questions for you. Here are our categories for today, and we will begin with Unsung Heroes. Which scientist played a crucial role in developing penicillin for mass production during World War II? Norman Heatley. Who was the African-American mathematician whose calculations were critical to early NASA space missions? Katherine Johnson. Which codebreaker played a significant role in deciphering the German Enigma code during World War II? Joan Clark. Who invented the first effective polio vaccine but chose not to patent it? Jonas Salk. Which nurse pioneered the hospice movement, revolutionizing end-of-life care? Cicely Saunders. Which chemist discovered the structure of benzene but was overlooked for the Nobel Prize? Rosalind Franklin. Who was the African-American chemist who developed dozens of products from peanuts, revolutionizing agriculture in the American South? George Washington Carver. Which pilot played a crucial role in the Berlin airlift dropping candy for children? Gail Halvorsen. Which scientist's work on nuclear chain reactions was crucial to the Manhattan Project but was largely uncredited? Lise Meitner. Who was the African-American surgeon who performed the first successful open heart surgery? Daniel Hale Williams. Who was the African-American inventor who developed the automatic traffic signal? Garrett Morgan. Which scientist's work on restriction enzymes paved the way for genetic engineering? Hamilton O. Smith. Who was the British nurse who established the first nursing school in Japan? Eleonora Glyn. Who was the Polish social worker who saved thousands of Jewish children during the Holocaust? Irina Sendler. Who was the African American inventor who developed the automatic traffic signal? This is a freebie for you. Garrett Morgan. Just to see if you were paying attention. Who is the Native American code talker who helped develop the Navajo code used in World War II? Philip Johnston. Which Polish resistance fighter warned the Allies about the Holocaust but was largely ignored? Jan Karski. Which scientist's work on nuclear magnetic resonance was crucial to the development of MRI technology? Rosalind Yalow. Who was the African American architect who designed the Tuskegee Institute campus? Robert R. Taylor. Who was the African American inventor who developed the automatic shoe-lasting machine, revolutionizing shoe production? Jan Ernst Matzeliger. And let's go to behind the scenes for question 21. Which special effects technique was first used in Technicolor for The Thief of Baghdad in 1940? Blue screen separation process. What was the biggest challenge for matte painters when transitioning from black and white to color films? Matching exact colors. Which film showcased the first major display of Technicolor matte painting? Gone with the Wind. What type of special effects were heavily relied upon in early 1940s war films? Models and mini photography. Which Hollywood restaurant featured in the TV series Hollywood is the oldest in the area and opened in 1919? Musso and Frank Grill. Which director spoke directly to the audience in a trailer for The Ten Commandments? Cecil B. DeMille. What were promotional featurettes in the 1960s? Five to 10-minute behind-the-scenes scenes. Which company had an exclusive deal to create trailers for most major studios in the late 1950s? National Screen Services. Which wartime documentary series was directed by Frank Capra? Why We Fight. Which new aspect ratio became standard by the end of the 1950s? (2.351). Which sound innovation became part of the widescreen experience in the 1950s? Stereo sound. What was Todd Ayo's approach to widescreen filmmaking? Using 70mm film. Which director made Signal Corps documentaries during World War II? John Ford. Which actress became famous for her pin-up photos during World War II? Betty Grable. Which film noir classic was shot in just 23 days on a low budget? Detour. Which Hollywood craft became obsolete with the rise of method acting in the 1950s? Dialogue coaches. Which film pioneered the use of computer-generated imagery for its visual effects? Westworld. Which film was shot entirely from a child's perspective with the camera never rising above 4 feet? The 400 Blows. Which film used innovative front projection techniques for its Dawn of Man sequence? (2001) A Space Odyssey. Which film's production was famous for going over budget and schedule due to a full-scale replica of the Titanic? Cleopatra. And let's move over to technology for question 41. Which early computer designed for military purposes during World War II was one of the first general-purpose electronic computers? ENIAC. Which company introduced the first push-button telephone? Bell Telephone. What innovation in television broadcasting was first used during a 1963 Army-Navy football game? Instant replay. What type of microphone invented in the 1960s revolutionized the industry due to its reliability and small size? Electret microphone. Which technology company was founded by Gordon Moore and Robert Noyce in 1968? Intel. What storage device, introduced by IBM in 1967, became a standard for personal computers? Floppy disk. Which home entertainment device, introduced by Sony in 1976, competed with VHS? Betamax. Which company became the first commercial online service offering dial-up connection to the public? CompuServe. Which computer peripheral, introduced in the late 1970s, became an industry standard for data storage? 5.25-inch floppy disk. What technology, first implemented in Japan in 1979, allowed for mobile phone communication? Cellular network. Which scientist's observation, made in 1965, predicted the doubling of transistors on a chip every 18 months? Gordon Moore. What invention by Tim Berners-Lee in the 1980s eventually evolved into the World Wide Web? Hypertext. Which space telescope, launched in 1990, revolutionized our view of the universe? The Hubble Space Telescope. What type of computer, introduced in the early 1990s, was marketed as a freedom machine? Notebook computer. What technology, incorporated into Intel's Centrino chip, led to widespread wireless internet adoption? Wi-Fi. Which technology, used in trade shows, allowed for tracking attendee movements in exhibit halls? RFID. What was the name of the first attempt to standardize meeting specification communications between planners and hoteliers? Agenus. Which component, invented in 1947, revolutionized electronics and led to smaller, more reliable devices? Transistor. What technology, developed during World War II, later found civilian use in air traffic control and weather forecasting? Radar. What technology introduced in the 1960s allowed for the first transatlantic television broadcasts? Communication satellites. And global connections for question 61. Which economic plan initiated by the United States aimed to rebuild Western European economies after World War II? The Marshall Plan. Which international organization was founded in 1945 to maintain world peace and security? The United Nations. What was the name of the economic system promoted by the Soviet Union in Eastern Europe? Centrally planned economy. Which international agreement signed in 1975 aimed to improve relations between the Communist bloc and the West? The Helsinki Accords. What was the term used to describe the process of European colonial powers granting independence to their colonies? Decolonization. What was the name of the U.S. foreign policy aimed at stopping the spread of communism around the world? Containment. What was the name of the strategic defense system proposed by President Reagan in the 1980s? Strategic Defense Initiative. What was the name of the economic reforms introduced by Deng Xiaoping in China in the late 1970s? Reform and opening up. Which international sports event was boycotted by the United States and several other countries in 1980? The Moscow Olympics. Which international organization was formed in 1967 to promote economic cooperation among Southeast Asian nations? ASEAN. Which African country was the first to gain independence from European colonial rule after World War II? Ghana. What was the name of the Soviet economic policy of restructuring introduced by Mikhail Gorbachev in the 1980s? Perestroika. Which international organization was established in 1995 to regulate international trade? World Trade Organization. What was the name of the economic boom experienced by Japan in the post-war period? The Japanese economic miracle. What was the name of the political philosophy promoted by Yugoslav leader Josip Broz Tito? Non-alignment. Which international agreement signed in 1987 aimed to protect the ozone layer? Montreal Protocol. What was the name of the period of political and social reform in Czechoslovakia in 1968? Prague Spring. What was the name of the period of economic stagnation and high inflation experienced by many Western countries in the 1970s? Stagflation. What was the name of the economic and political philosophy promoted by British Prime Minister Margaret Thatcher? Thatcherism. Which international agreement signed in 1985 created a borderless area within Europe? The Schengen Agreement. Everyday innovations for question 81. What product developed in the 1980s offered a new method to help smokers quit? The nicotine patch. Which vision correction innovation became available in the late 1980s? Disposable contact lenses. What household cleaning device introduced in the late 1990s revolutionized floor cleaning? Swiffer. Which odor eliminating product was introduced in the late 1990s? Febreze. What communication device became widely popular in the 1980s? The cordless phone. Which kitchen appliance introduced in the 1970s made food preparation quicker and easier? The food processor. Which home cooling innovation became widely available in the 1950s? Window air conditioner. Which household cleaning product introduced in the 1950s combined a cleaning agent with a sponge? Scrub sponge. What kitchen storage innovation introduced in the 1940s helped keep food fresh? Tupperware. What personal grooming device introduced in the 1960s offered a new way to style hair? The handheld hairdryer. And crossroads of culture for question 91. Which cultural movement originating in the Soviet Union was characterized by its Western-inspired fashion and love for jazz music? Styliani. What American theater group founded in Harlem aimed to reshape the landscape of American theater for African American actors? The American Negro Theater. What cultural phenomenon emerged in post-war America, creating a new demographic with significant purchasing power? The teenager. Which music genre originating in African American communities became a symbol of rebellion and cultural change in the 1950s? Rock and roll. What radio station, funded by the US government, broadcast American music and news to Eastern Europe during the Cold War? Radio Free Europe. Which American musician's popularity in Germany symbolized the cultural impact of rock and roll in Europe? Elvis Presley. What term describes the spread of American cultural influence globally during the 20th century? Americanization. Which musical genre emerging in the late 1970s combined elements of reggae, punk, and rock? Ska. What cultural phenomenon in the 1970s combined music, dance, and fashion in predominantly African American and Latino communities? Disco culture. Which artistic movement originating in New York City in the 1970s combined elements of hip-hop culture and graffiti? Street art. And for our bonus question, what television program debuting in the 1970s showcased African American music and dance influencing pop culture? Let us know the answer in the comments, as well as how you did with our Einstein Awards. And as always, we hope you enjoyed this quiz, and we will see you in our next one. Bye-bye.